I'm not here to hype a product, I'm here to help you figure out if this compressor actually solves the problem you have in your shop or garage. When you're looking at a 7 horsepower rotary screw unit, the price tag and the size alone can make anyone pause. You've probably wondered whether you'll end up with a machine that runs all day without overheating, or if you'll be stuck changing oil every week and still not getting the airflow you need for spray painting or sandblasting. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about what a rotary screw compressor really does compared to the piston type you might already know. The screw design produces a steady, pulse-free flow of air, which is a big deal if you're feeding a paint gun or a continuous run pneumatic tool. The Quincy QGS 7.5 TM puts out about 21 CFM at 100 psi, and it's paired with a 60-gallon tank that helps smooth out any minor pressure dips. In everyday use, that means you can run a spray booth for a full shift without watching the gauge swing, and you won't be forced to pause every few minutes to let the tank refill. Now, the practical side of bringing a 300-watt, single-phase unit into a typical shop. First, you need a dedicated 230-volt circuit with a breaker that can handle the inrush current. Most older home garages are wired for 120V only, so you might need an electrician to add a new line. That's a hidden cost that catches a lot of buyers off guard. Once the power is sorted, the compressor itself sits on a steel base that's roughly 3 feet wide and a little over 5 feet long, so you need a clear floor space and a sturdy floor that can support the weight about 1,300 pounds when it's full of oil and water. Installation is fairly straightforward if you follow the manual, but the real daily usability test comes after you fire it up. The unit runs on oil-lubricated rotors, which means you'll have to check the oil level and change it according to the schedule Quincy recommends, usually every 2,000 operating hours. That's not a monthly chore, but it does add a maintenance step you don't have with oil-free piston compressors. On the upside, the oil system keeps the rotors cool, so the machine stays under 150 F even after several hours of continuous duty, and that translates into less wear over the long run. One of the strengths that shows up in real-world scenarios is the compressor's ability to maintain pressure while you're running multiple tools at once. I've seen a small auto body shop run a sandblaster, a paint gun, and a few impact wrenches off this exact model for an 8-hour day, and the pressure never fell below 95 psi. That reliability is a direct result of the rotary screw design and the generous tank capacity. If you're the kind of user who needs that kind of non-stop airflow, the QGS 7.5 TM gives you confidence that you won't have to stop work waiting for the tank to catch up. On the flip side, the machine isn't whisper quiet. The motor and the screw set generate a steady hum that sits around 70 dB, which is comparable to a busy kitchen. For a dedicated workshop that's already noisy, it's not a deal-breaker. But if you're planning to run the compressor in a residential garage where neighbors can hear you, you might want to invest in a sound enclosure or consider a smaller, piston-type unit instead. So, who should walk away with this compressor, and who should keep scrolling? If you run a small to medium-sized operation that does automotive refinishing, metal fabrication, or any job that calls for continuous air, think spray painting, powder coating, or even a high-volume nail gun setup, this unit hits the sweet spot. The steady airflow and the durability of a rotary screw system pay off after the initial expense, because you're not constantly swapping tanks or dealing with pressure spikes that ruin paint finish. Also, if you already have the electrical infrastructure or are willing to upgrade it, the QGS 7.5 TM makes sense. Conversely, if you're a weekend hobbyist who only needs air once a month for a tire inflator or a small nail gun, you'll likely be overpaying for capacity you'll never use. The size, weight, and maintenance requirements make it a poor fit for a cramped garage where you can't dedicate a permanent corner. Likewise, if you don't have access to 230V single-phase power, you'll either have to invest in a transformer, adding cost and complexity, or look for a 115V piston model that matches your power setup. Let's talk value beyond the headline specs. The price point for a rotary screw of this size is usually in the upper mid-four-figure range, and you're paying for the long-term reliability that comes from fewer moving parts and a lower heat profile. In practice, that means fewer breakdowns, less downtime, and a longer service life, often 10 years or more with proper oil changes. If you calculate the cost of lost productivity when